Yesui. Lovely, warm, hot afternoon for you. Creatures mankind alike everywhere. Hello, hello, hello. Deus sanctus est, ego sanctus sum. Remember, Deus sanctus est, ego sanctus sum. Deus sanctus est, ego sanctus sum. If your Creator is holy, He wants you to be holy. You should be holy. This is the first video of Leviticus 15. We left off going over, what, the 11th law of Moses for leprosy and cleanliness. And our Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, and He says to them, I want you to speak to the children of Israel. I want you to say to them, the man that has a flux of seed shall be unclean. Flux of seed. What does this mean? Children, you may want to ask your parents in regards to this for a little bit more detail. But a flux of seed is an incongruous, uncontrolled discharge. Now, the way I read it, it can be absorbed in one or two ways, or both. It could be the discharge from the genitals, showing them pureness and uncleanliness of sleeping around with multiple partners, or a discharge from scabs or scars of the flesh, or as I said, could be both. Flux of seed is an uncontrolled discharge. Now, Saint Theodoret, he writes, if natural infirmities brought uncleanness, much more lasciviousness of the mind, which leads me to venture towards the impurity, the discharge coming from the genitalia area. Hello, I'm continuing to Moses and Aaron. Then he shall be judged subject to this fault, when the filthy humor at every moment cleaveth to his flesh and is congealed. Wow, huh? According to the Douay-Rheims Bible, it elucidates this verse as he shall be judged subject to this evil, which caused this discharge, when a filthy humor at every moment cleaveth to his flesh and gathered there. The Hebrew text. This is his uncleanness and his discharge if his flesh has run with his discharge, or his flesh has stopped from his discharge. Again, it is his uncleanness. Every bed, so it's me, let's say it's me, back in the time of Moses. Every bed that I have slept on is going to be considered unclean. Every sofa, chair, stone, everywhere I sit shall also be considered unclean. Any person touches the bed where I slept, or touches the chair or the sofa, what have you, where I've been, he or she is to wash his or her clothes. Also washing him or herself with dihydrogen monoxide water, and shall be considered unclean until evening. There's time to elapse to see if a breakout will occur, or something else will occur. If a friend of mine comes over and he sits where I've been sitting, he also shall wash his clothes. And being washed with water, he will be considered unclean once again until the evening time. My brother comes over. We shake hands, touch one another. Once again, his clothes must be washed, as well as himself being washed, and again will be considered unclean until evening, all because of this discharge, either from a scab or from down low, the genitalia area. If such a man casts spittle, so I spit, either intentionally or as I'm speaking accidentally upon a person that is clean, this person must wash his or her clothes. Also, washing him or herself with water, and again, will be considered unclean once again until evening. The pad where I'm sitting at, where my domicile is at, my pad, that is considered unclean. Anything that's been under me, whether it be my bare foot or my butt, that has the flux of seed that is dripped upon it, will be unclean, polluted, until the evening. If I carry any of these things, any of these discharges, the clothes must be washed, and myself washed with water, unclean until evening. Everyone that touches me, having not washed his or her hands before, shall wash his or her clothes, and being washed with water once again shall be unclean until when? Evening yet again. The earthen vessel that I touch, or something made out of the bark of a tree, or out of the clay of the earth, can't be clean. It needs to be broken. But a vessel made out of cloth like wool shall be washed with water. If I am healed from whatever disease I'm carrying, 7 days, unto number 7 days after my cleansing, having washed all of my clothes and all of my body in living water, nothing else breaking out, after 7 days, I shall be clean. The 8th day, and now my gratitude, my sacrifice, whether this was accidental, whether this was intentional, it causes discharge. Moses doesn't differentiate here. So after the 8th day, I have to take 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, and approach to the sight of our Lord, where at the door of the tabernacle of testimony. I will give the 2 turtle doves or the 2 young pigeons to the priest. One he shall make for sin, the other for a holocaust. The priest will pray for me before quiesce, that I may be cleansed of this flux of my seed. To make offer and the sacrificial host is all in one with this. The offering and the sacrificial host is all in one. Now, my seed of copulation. Whoever I copulated, who I'm copulating with this discharge, I am to wash my body, once again with water, and I will be considered unclean until evening. The garment, the skin, whatever clothing, attire I'm wearing, must be washed with water, and it will be considered unclean until evening, so I just hang it out and let it dry until evening time. The woman with whom I have company with shall also be washed with water, and will be considered unclean until evening. Now, a woman that has a monthly flux of blood. This is how specific, and this is how meticulous all this was back then. Now no one gives it a second thought. The woman with a bloody discharge going through her periods of moon. She'll be separated from everyone else for 7 days. And everyone that touches her is considered to be unclean until the evening time. Everywhere that she sits or sleeps in the days of her separation shall be considered polluted. So if she's being separated from the rest, no one should be approaching that anyways. But if someone does, like the priest, for example, this is why this is mentioned. Anyone that touches her bed needs to wash his or her clothes, as well as him or herself being washed with water, and again, considered unclean until the evening time. Anyone who touches any vessel that she has sat upon or touched, say I've done it, I came over to her place and she began her flux, her flux of blood. Well, I need to wash my clothes, wash myself with water, and I am to be considered polluted until the evening time. If I accompany with this woman in her time of her menstrual flow, her menstrual blood, I also am considered to be unclean for 7 days. And every bed that I sleep upon, that I've slept upon after I've done this with her, or if we've done it together, shall be considered polluted. A woman that has a flux of blood many days, not during her menstrual time though, or that ceases not to have a flux after the menstrual period, as long as she is subject to this disease, she shall be unclean, as if she were in her menstrual time. Every bed that she sleeps in, every vessel that she sits on is considered to be polluted because of this disease, whatever it is, and whosoever touches her shall wash his clothes, or her clothes being woman, and himself or herself also being washed with water and being labeled as unclean until evening. All right. When we next meet, we'll continue on and we'll discuss if the blood stays, this discharge, the blood stays with her, but ceases to run, ceases to flow. That's what we'll discuss next. Until then, remember this. Creus is giving these specific instructions because he's seen the monstrosities man has done, which is why he baptized the world in the flood. He doesn't want this to occur within the people, his children of his church. He's trying to make a seed as pure, as logical, and as straight as possible. Hence the instructions, the directions from every angle, trying to cover all biological functions and infections. This is what you need to remember. Pax vobis.